No, it shouldn't be meant to be red or clear.
No, it's okay.
Push it for me, please.
No,
Okay, let's do it again.
We were right.
Right now.
Yeah, we were right, weren't we?
Yeah. I'm not going to push it again now.
I like pushing.
No,
Right.
you're right.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome
Good evening,
to
Chairman.
the member Buckingham Town Council Planning Committee. As always, we do have a public session which precedes the meeting. We have one speaker tonight, Mr. and Yatian. I think you've got under our standing orders. You've got 3 minutes to speak, so the floor is yours.
Right now?
Yes, if you'd like to start, if you are ready.
Sure. Basically, is relating to the home appliance, which I'm sure you know. And I'm here to put some points forward. The points that I will be doing is not a memory test because I've given the copy to the lady.
Yeah, temporarily.
Yeah, that's the one.
Do you need it back though?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I've got a copy, and also I've been working on it over 2 years. Sounds like a sort of a long relation which turned into marriage. The points that I can make is merely merits and possibility how to overcome the issues, because most of the issues I still refer to later on into building regulations, conditions, and so on. So I'll say that's in about 3 minutes to start with. But would I have longer time to speak later?
No, you can't speak.
No, you won't. Oh, I thought it was 15 minutes. I was on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, it is the 15 minutes. I was told 3 minutes.
That's Aylesbury.
So just to confirm, you will not be able to speak during the meeting.
I understand.
What you say now is.
I understand, but I just thought I was for about 3 minutes.
You're 3 minutes through, it's 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case,
3
let's-
minutes.
Okay.
Standing orders, 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, now I've started addressing what the committee decided or respond in 2021. I'll start with number point 1, which there was a concern over the, if you like, structural issue of the building and whether a single-story brick building built in 1939 would be able to support the 2 additional floors. Now, right from outset, every professional advice I've had was in favour of demolishing the whole building as the best option to go. I went against that, and to argue that decision, I called in a structural engineer and I exposed a small section of the foundation, and cutting a long story short, the survey and calculation concluded that existing foundation, roof walls and etc. would be suitable for a lightweight construction. And the details to follow with the next stage, with the regulation stage, if you like. The point number two was the water supply, drainage and so on. Now the water supply exists in the building, the high commercial mains water with high pressure, because I understand from John Tor, the home appliance owner, that he needed to run so many washing machines at the same time. However, if need to, that could be addressed easily. And when it comes to the switch and disposal, etc., basically we called in ambient water engineer to have a site visit to confirm what's there. He did that, and the report is in page 13. And following that, he suggested that we apply for pre-application, pre-development. We contacted Handling Water and we applied for pre-development. Straight away, it was suggested that we withdraw that application and they don't deal with anything less than 10. In fact, they said not big number, but anyway. And then those details would be on the page 16, which is last page 16 of the report that we included. That's OT drainage, flood risk and water harvesting report. And specifically extract 1, extract 2 and extract 3 would basically confirm that there is no issue with the drainage problem whatsoever. interesting is that Mark Junek, the chap in charge of the tree development, had comforted us by saying there's no issue. Then later he took down in his report saying, "Can you confirm that there is an issue?" So it's basically.
Thank you. You've got 30 seconds left.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
15 minutes gone.
No, three minutes, we said at the start. 3 minutes to understanding orders. We did say at the start.
Okay. Sorry, I don't understand. Is it 3 minutes or 15 minutes?
So 3 minutes is what speakers were permitted under our standing orders.
All right.
I understand you were notified of this by email.
By email it says
Thank you.
you've got 15 minutes and you have to share it between.
Yeah. That's what I've always
That's-
understood it to be.
I'm just going to refer to the town clerk.
I'm sorry, my staff member told you it's 15 minutes. It should be 3 minutes per person. We did amend our standing orders back in May, and it was discussed whether or not we would just keep it at 15 or move it to 3. And the agreement was we would align it to the same as members have to talk and hit 3 minutes per.
Anthony.
Thank you, Chairman. I really was going to say what Town Clerk has said, just to clarify, there is a 15-minute slot for one or more people to be there, but each person can only have 3 minutes.
Okay, that's a bit confusing. But
Just so it's clear, that's all.
But I am very sorry, we were wrong with advising
it's
that.
okay, no. So in fact, I was prepared for it.
Yeah, having been advised by the town clerk.
May I say, Chair, there is a caveat that says unless at your discretion.
Yeah, so
Give him 15, if he's done a report to talk to 15, if you've got a caveat that you could allow him, I'm more than happy to agree if you want to vote on that.
No, read the chair's decision.
Okay.
no, if members feel that way, I'm
Yeah.
very happy. So we will give you as much time as you.
Oh, that's very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you,
Okay.
thank you. I'll carry on to about point 3. Is relating to internet cables on the new. Well, the answer is that in fact we have got, according to the transfer, original deeds of transfer between the old and new exchange buildings, there is a clear map where they run and an obligation how to solve them. Having said that, we have no digging or trenches required for our plan, and more importantly, clearly understand that the old cables have been now redirected by a burning clause to the north side. So there is no wires. Having said that, I'm still in touch with the BT exchange, and in fact, as a neighbouring property, courteously notified the current ongoing application. So number 4 would be, which is a repeat later on, so I'll read it's regarding the surface water and how it's dealt with. I've quoted mainly from the planning officer from previous application, which it reads as, this is already almost entirely covered in hard surface. That's referring to the site. The extent of additional hard surface would only be 25 square metre of the new balconies. However, it is proposed to install green cilium roofing and however the water butts, which we have put it in details for OT, drainage, flood risk and water. But basically what we say here is there is nothing we can do that worsen the situation. If anything, with a green cilium roof and the water butt, it will be a big improvement. So that would be that one there. Sorry, okay. Now, the next one is referring to the safety highway issues, because market is exceptionally busy and so on. We have this ongoing issue for a number of years. We have finally concluded to a solution with the highways, and although they have no objection, they have put 4 conditions, which is all doable. It's all to do with rearranging the parking situation. And on that note, basically, it says that the site could not really better located for car-free altogether, car-free development, but we still have included some car parking spaces for disabled, EV charging, residents, deliveries, and so on. And with the updated car parking layout, we can get actually 7.5 ton trucks in and out, just like the post office does, so there's no issue of walking around the car behind. So that's best arrangement. I'm trying to really go fast.
You've got 4 minutes left.
Oh, dear. Okay, you're fast, money. Oh yeah, there's a confusion over the Market Hill Square and so on in the past application. I did a search myself today, and according to Royal Mail official website, the address for Buckingham delivery sorting off is Market Hill, and yet on the same site, the map shows that it is High Street, and so does the land registry document. Previous yeah, one important, in fact, I'll try. Yeah, one important thing is then because of 2018 pre-app application, which is not available to public yet, I have a record of it. But basically, they suggest the total car-free development, and the council came up with saying, look, why don't you get access to the neighbouring Cornwall's Meadow, so you can access the car park in the regions, and which makes sense. I mean, any extra thing will do. But in this situation, this may, if we go for it, it may work adverse and may have adverse effect. In other words, because you have to create a ramp, you will almost lose about 70 plus or minus 70 square metre off the site, which could be allocated to disabled parking and or turning lorries around, rather than to just get an access. Another point in regards to that would be that there is no pedestrian marking on that. Quite frankly, it raises concern about pedestrian safety. And if you haven't got no pedestrian walkway, passageway. And altogether, it's also a security issue because according to Cllr, there's a lot of in and out from that side, from the Cornwall Meadows into the site, the kids skating around, basically unauthorized entries. So for three reasons, it's not an advantage to do that with this proposal. Now I'm going to jump everything, I'm going to go straight into one more thing that is not available. That's to do with a permission from post office in order to get, that's the important one, which gets repeated. Now, I'll address that by saying, yes, we need to, as a shared owners of the passageway, we have to inform them. We've done that, time lapse, we still will look into it. But more importantly, the short answer to the ownership is, and yes, we had an ownership and agreement back in 1983 when the post office split it from post office to PT, and I put the section of the deeds and highlighted important. It's cutting it short. It's absolutely permanent, unrestricted access. Which the words are dead bolded. I'm sure Lady Planner there would sort it out at any time with anything with or without vehicle, and so on. So I can carry on too much, but I'm panicking now.
You have 1 minute now.
Okay. In that case, I will sit back and I will be enjoying the conversation. I'm passionate about it. What I'm hoping to get from the committee today, I've been satisfied this to a satisfactory conclusion. Let's turn that old tired building, which I think is the most beautiful location, into something very useful. And while I don't expect that to be straightforward, but subject to the conditions met, whether to later date, whether it's building regulation or condition applied by planning, I'm hoping to get some sort of, if you like, approval or some sort of no objection or whatever the committee may decide. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank
your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, just to make it very clear, we are not the deciding authority.
I do.
We're a consulting, and our feedback then goes back to Buckinghamshire.
I understand that fully, but
yeah,
every little counts.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question about what's on the table tonight?
Yes,
Lisa.
and
Councillor O'Donoghue.
thank you. It's about you were saying that you've got the shared access with the post office.
Yeah,
But at the moment, the gate's locked overnight time, or when the site's
that's
clear.
right. We have a 24/7 unrestricted access to the
Yeah,
site.
will the gates be locked though, or left open, because it's also the security of the post office at the back, isn't it?
Well, unfortunately, on the back, the actually main security issue that is, you can lock all the front if you want, but it's totally, the cameras will tell you, and it's totally exposed to all unwanted traffic from the rear.
Okay.
So you can shut the front, but everything is being from it, especially at night, including one incident lately. It's all on camera and we are doing this.
Okay.
We have rights, we can do what we want with it, we've got keys to it.
Right, okay.
So there is to it.
Right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Simon.
With members' agreement, could we move that item forward?
Yeah.
To, after the declaration of interest, once the meeting, everyone in agreement?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
So what we're going to do, we're going to start the meeting, then we're going to discuss your application as a first item on the agenda. So
That'll be lovely, I'll buy you.
you're free to listen, but you. Thank you. Right, in that case, we can start the meeting proper. Apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillor Davis and Councillor Willett.
Thank you. There's
Yep.
thank you. Declarations of interest, receive declarations of interest, any personal prejudicial interest on consideration on this agenda. Robin,
Just my usual one, as I may eventually get to sit in a planning meeting in Aylesbury. I have to declare personal and vested interest, because if this application comes to Aylesbury, I will be on the determining committee.
thank you very much. Robin. Right, that's noted. Okay, in that case, we're going to move immediately to planning application and to planning application number 3, which is home appliances, the old telephone exchange on Market Hill, 2-storey roof extension to provide 8 flats and a change of use of the ground floor. Provide.
Can I just check, this might be me, did we just agree the minutes as well?
No.
I said
I'm sorry, sorry.
after declarations of interest.
I'm having a moment.
Can we go to them? So provide number 1 residential unit and ancillary residential uses. We have had this application before, as you're all well aware, back in dated 2018, which was refused at the time. Catherine's prepared a report here about the new proposals. The proposal, as you've heard tonight, is to use the entrance by the post office down into the yard, which is where home appliances have been for many, many years. Since 1997, in fact. Carolyn, would you like to start the ball rolling for Buckingham Society?
Oh, well, thank you very much, Chairman. First of all, I think we'd like to say this is the most ambitious plan, and I think it has a lot of merits to it. You obviously worked extremely hard at producing something that looks much more acceptable in terms of amenity. And both in the space of the flats and surrounding greener spaces, and I must commend the green roof. We still obviously have 1 or 2 concerns which haven't been totally allayed by your very kind introduction. But first of all, it floods. I mean, the car park floods, the Cornwall's Meadow floods, and when it floods, the sewage backs up. So this is a concern that is not possibly within your remit to solve, but it is a concern when you're introducing 10 more units, residential units to it. Another thing is the car-free access. Well, even if people, you say it's a car-free access, it's fine if you're just walking around Buckingham, but of course people need to go further afield, and then they need a car. They get in their cars and travel further afield for work or otherwise. And the entrance to this site remains problematical in our view. It's a narrow site. It has to compete with commercial traffic from the post office, and it is not very good visibility onto the high street. I believe it is the high street. And pedestrian access to it. Does this also come through that rather narrow entrance, shared access with vans and so forth? Lastly, the construction issues, I'm sure will cause a lot of problems. Have you in any way made headway into minimising the disruption that endless lorries going in and out of that narrow access would provide? So those were our main points of concern.
Thank you very much, Cllr. Someone else like to speak? Martin, Councillor Pryor.
Thank you. Yeah, along the similar lines, on the car parking, though, it is a town centre, so you could get away without allocated car parking spaces. And on that basis, I could see it working better if they were just disable car parking spaces than resident one or shared, because if it's shared, somebody's going to go in, oh, it's full, turn around, come back out again. That's going to be more problematic than saying you don't have a space there anymore. It's just for disabled and you will be allocated one. So I would suggest not trying to put car parking spaces in there, and just use them maybe disabled. That would be the way I look at things. Having said that, of course, then somebody would say, well, they'll have to park their cars somewhere. But that's life, and it's not connected with this application, so we wouldn't consider that.
Thank you. One thing that Buckingham Society raised through Carolyn is the flood risk and drainage, surface water drainage. It's a great concern to us that the Suds department down at Aylesbury has decided not to comment on this application, despite the obviously very, very important part of it. I feel that we can't really go ahead with this until we get Suds to make a report on this, because as we've heard, when there's flooding in the Cornwall Meadow car park, the sewage backs up. Where does all the water go from this site? There's a lot of concern here, and I think we wouldn't be doing Buckingham a service if we went ahead and approved this without a full flood report from the Suds department. There's other concerns Catherine's raised. The car parking, the spaces are not in line with the current Buckinghamshire Council parking sizes, which are 2.8 metres by 5 metres. There's other matters there. So I'm going to propose tonight that until we have a full flood risk and drainage report, we should object to this, and then if it comes back to us, we can then redecide on the basis of that report. So I'm proposing that. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Rao. Anyone else wish to comment on this? Anya, Mayor.
I'm not arguing against anything that's been said, but I would also like to reiterate Carolyn's point that in principle, the idea of developing that site, which is a bit of an eyesore in the middle of town, is and we want brownfield site development. So in principle, I would be supportive of it if these issues can be addressed satisfactorily. That would be an aye.
Yeah, thank you. Well put. I'd like Mr. Andy Yassian to go away thinking that we are not against it.
Oh, no.
It's the details at the moment that we need sorted out. So, Martin.
Yeah, one more thing. When it comes to the planning decision, it would be also good to have a transport building. What's the buzzword for it? Materials in and out while construction.
Construction management plan.
There we go, construction management plan, because that would be good, knowing, you know, the times they would go in and come out, because that can also be problematic. School out time, Royal Mail delivery times, you know, all sorts of things. So that would be a good thing to have in there as a belt and braces.
Definitely agree with that.
Catherine's noting all this, Right, in that case, we'll move forward to the vote. So all those in favour of my proposal that we object until we get further information on particularly flood risk and drainage. So that's everyone with the exception of Councillor Stutch because of abstaining. Thank you. Right, Mr. Andreasia, thank you very much for attending and speaking tonight. We have
Yeah,
heard what
thanks.
you've said, and you've certainly laid some of our concerns, particularly about the shared access with post office.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for coming. Right, we return to the main agenda then. Minutes of the last planning committee meeting held on October the 9th. May we approve those as a true and correct record?
Yeah.
Thank
agreed.
you, everybody. Well done. Right, we then move on to item 4, which is a motion, which I've put forward. The Buckinghamshire Town Council's Planning Committee notes of concern that the quarterly Buckinghamshire Council Town Parish Planning Forum, which was scheduled for 30th of October at the Gateway, has been postponed until the new year. The last was held on the 18th of July, which means there's not been a quarterly, i.e. 3 monthly meeting for at least 6 months. In BMK's own words, quote, the BC Planning Authority invites town and parish councils to the forum meetings for the purpose of providing information and system updates, answering of questions and exchange of ideas. The reason given for the cancellation is the lack of a director of planning, although we note that there is an interim director. This state of affairs is unacceptable. It's increasingly difficult to fulfil our roles as planning consultees without the support of the Shire Council. These continual postponements go against that council's own town and parish charter. I therefore propose that this committee raises a formal complaint with Democratic Services about this continued lack of liaison with and respect for town and parish councils in Buckinghamshire. And that's my proposal. May we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Seconded by Councillor O'Donoghue. Thank you very much. Councillor Stutchbury, Robin.
Yeah, I'm very happy to support the motion for like rewording a bit where it says complaint to Democratic Service continued lack of liaison. Well, that may be one route to take this, but I advise that on the 23rd of November of this month, forthcoming, there's planning performance on the which is on the work programme of the Growth and Infrastructure Select Committee, and also they've got their equity framework and strategy on their framework. So I would suggest that we add to that motion that we write a letter or email and question to them about when they think they're going to bring it back in kilter, because if they've got planning performance, it's hardly a performance if you're not meeting, is it? So, and as it's on Saturday reading it, that would be where I go, because we may get a response back from Buckinghamshire Council, we may not like the response, and that might come back to the next meeting, but between that, it gives us an opportunity to poke the bear directly and about the issue, because they will be talking about many things in that, and the previous meeting, they were talking about many things to do with planning, but as it says on the agenda, will be on the agenda on the 23rd, unless they change their work programme and planning performance. And it's hardly much of a performance if you're not actually performing, is it?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I would suggest. Are you happy to accept that as a slight change in the words, not an amendment, just an additional word that we will write to them with a written question to.
May I seek the advice of the town clerk on this?
There is no legal reason not to.
So, in that case, I would be happy to accept. Robert, do we make it an amendment, or do you just include it in my motion?
It will be an amendment.
Yeah, it's not against it, really. It's just trying to make it more effective.
But could we be absolutely clear of the wording then, Robin, just so everyone's got it right?
That we write question. We also write to the Growth and Infrastructure Select Committee, to the Chairman, Council David Carroll, and the clerk of that committee, which I'll give the information. The clerk, I won't get it in the public, I'll give it to Claire in private. The clerk of that committee, and asking them why this is so, as they are discussing planning performance and how can planning performance doesn't consult.
Yeah.
I think that
Presumably drawing their attention to this.
their attention to this motion with additional wording around it, because
thank you.
And they will have to answer why it is and what it is. Because if all of North Buckinghamshire planning parishes are not being consulted, are not talking, and they're all presenting local plans. I was talking to Chief Mays Morton before the meeting, and their local plan I think goes in December to be out to determine, you know, being able to consult is important. So, that's what I would do. I don't know if other members agree with it, but I could do it anyway, but I just thought I'd ask.
Could we have a second of the?
Maybe I just asked, did you read back how you got that? I think so that.
Yeah.
But I've got the two points that are slightly changed, so, I didn't catch the date, Robin, when it wasn't.
On the 23rd of November, we've got time to do it. But it will have to go in.
The type of their agenda.
The type of agenda, so it will have to be drafted and written and sent in this coming week. Which
Well, we've got more than that because you can't submit before the agenda's published.
yeah, but we can have it ready, can't we?
Oh, yes, we have it ready, but we can't send it until the agenda's published.
Thank you. Could we have a second for Robin's amendment?
I'm really sorry, I'm being pedantic, Chair. I really need to be clear exactly what the
Right.
amendment is.
Oh,
So
right.
if we just have.
Yeah.
So what I have is that we write to the select committee and the clerk of that committee and ask them why this is so. In addition to what Mark has said, and as they are discussing the plan performance.
Members are all clear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
May we have a second of them, please?
Yeah, I'm happy for that.
Thank you.
Karen.
Councillor O'Donnell here. Did we take the amendment, yes? Yeah, so all those in favour of the amendment? That's unanimous, please, Robin, and then we move to the main motion, which has been proposed and seconded. All those in favour? Again, unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
thank
Mark.
you, Town Clerk, for your advice. Right, we can move on now to item 5, Buckingham Neighbourhood Plan, Vale of Aylesbury Plan, Buckinghamshire Local Plan, to receive any updates. Nothing here tonight. What I can tell you is that on Thursday evening, Sheena and I are going to walk at Parish Council to put forward our scenarios
Right.
that we've got in the neighbourhood plan. Just so you know where we are. We're heading to see other parish councils as time moves on.
Excellent.
Thank you. Number 6, North Bucks Parishes Planning Consortium. Councillor Anthony Ralph is our representative on that, and you've got some draft minutes for the September meeting, Anthony.
Thank you, Chairman. At our last meeting, I mentioned that I would be putting these,
Yeah.
because they're in draft form, and
Yeah.
privileged to get a copy from the chair, the MBTPC ahead of time. And so they're there for people to look at. Subsequent to that, and it was interesting that Councillor Hardcastle from Mays Morgan, who's the chair, the chair of the MBTPC, has sent a sort of a letter round to talk to us about various bits. And there's a couple of things that I thought you might be interested in, so I thought I'd bring it up here. I mean, part of it was about Shenley Park and the SPD that's going on at the moment. The comment they said, the chap said he made a very valid point that this is a good example of the complexity that Buckinghamshire Council seem to favour for their consultation exercises, unable to comment on whether this is deliberate obfuscation or inadequate understanding of effective consultation processes. So I thought, well, we are not alone. But anyway, more importantly, and I think this is something that will be coming up, the Rosefield Solar Farm and Batteries Facility, and I think that's going to come wanging over the horizon any time now for all of us.
Yeah.
But Pat Hardcastle's professional life with the United Nations is about forestation and to some degree agriculture in Africa, and that's his sort of professional speciality. And he said that, and it's relevant because he says the approach to the economic use of land with mixed cropping relies on a thing called the land equivalence ratio, which determines whether there is a positive synergy for multiple use. And so he says if you look at a hectare of land, out for two different crops, which could include solar panels, in a simple example would be where widening the space between the solar panels would allow 0.7 of the number of per hectare that could be used if no other use. So by itself is not so good. However, if sheep were then grazed, and the number that could be accommodated was at least 50% of the number that could be if there was no solar panels, and put together, you add the two percentages or the decimal points together, 0.7 plus 0.5, so the LER is 1.2 QED. It is more effective to have mixed, and in this case, sheep and solar panels. And dare I say, when we were talking about whether we can move councils and others to get our point of view across, and it's a bit like trying to stop a 38-ton truck coming at you. I use the analogy that if you've got a large rock in space heading towards Earth, and there's no chance it's going to miss us, but we haven't got the capacity and capability of just destroying it. If we can at least nudge it, you can then make it change its path a little bit, and it may very well then miss the Earth. So if you apply that analogy to this, we may not be able to stop solar farms and solar panels if we're not that keen, but if we can get them to change how they might use the land, then it might be to everybody's advantage. All that was a bit torturous, but I think you get the point that we've got to be alive to maybe thinking slightly outside the box when these big things come along. So that was really my main thing to say this evening, and we've got to be open to these things. So I don't think we're going to stop solar farms somehow.
Thank you. Just looking at your draft.
Yes.
Minutes there, the A421 corridor study, which you and I both attended.
Yes.
And so did Robin. We all attended that meeting in September.
I didn't actually, Mark, but yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about it was Robin and I.
Oh, yeah,
it was at the Swan Centre.
I'm fairly up to speed.
It was then they took all sorts of things from us. We did whiteboards, we did suggestions, and they said they'd come back to us in early November. Meeting was scheduled for 7th of November. Everyone ready for it, and it's been postponed for operational reasons. Quote
whatever that
unquote.
means.
Robin.
Yeah, just to address the first point, and thank Councillor Anti-Ralph for what you've done. Solar panels tend to generate two sorts of interest, one negative, one positive. I noticed in the report, I suppose it talks about the steeper Claydon solar panels, which are not going to they're going to the Secretary of State, whoever he or she may be at that particular time, because they change on a regular almost hourly, don't they? So that'll go there, but it's always how do I put it there? When the councils, when I've been present when applications have been dealt with to do with solar panels, there's always accompanying correspondence from individuals about them. So one of the things we do need perhaps clear up is for our own interests, really, I think, and I've been what the chairman of the committee thinks that what is the community's understanding of how solar panels work and what they do and don't do, because there's a lot of double information around it, and where they have been, they do generate quite a huge amount of electricity, which can actually lower the carbon footprint and be a good thing. And we've already had solar panels close to Buckingham in 2 instances. There's the 2 sites, isn't there, at Gorka, and the one planned, I believe, down on the Old Bletchley Road. So we have got some insight to it. It might be something that we, through you, Chair, and the officers, that we need to sort of gather as much information around it, because we are putting together a local plan, and it's something that might flow up to us, negative and positive views around these things, and we do need to turn away from throwing lumps of coal on the fire, don't we? So eventually, but it's about the order we do it in. But I do thank Andy for that. And then the other thing you mentioned, Chairman, was I don't believe they're quite ready to talk to us. That's what I fear is the situation. Yeah, I think the work that they're doing hasn't quite gotten to the point where they want to come back to us. Maybe the amount of points raised may have slowed that down, because there was some quite strong points. What I would think, take Anthony's view on this, it might be worth us right to ascertain when they think they will be ready and when the work will be done. And because those of A421 may affect the whole of the corridor, nothing more is important to us in the area of the A421 goes past 3,000 residents. So we really have quite a skin in the game on it, really, because if it was to follow the route it's on now, it would affect all the properties along it. And those of us who can remember the joys of trying to put a roundabout in at Tesco's and making it larger, and what fun that was.
Robin, you're running out of time now.
Well, yeah, but what I'm basically saying is we need to you bought my credit report there. What I'm saying is we need to ask them where they're going to do it, because if they don't consider that, and if they take all the other views in consideration, the parishes, we've got the largest amount of constituents who will be impacted by it. And I know that you raised those points as pertinently as I have.
Thank you. Mayor.
Coming back very briefly to the Rosefield, isn't it, the plan? It will be an interesting conversation to have. I think in this particular case, it's also the scale of the proposed development that is at issue, not just the question of solar farms, yes or no, but what is it, how many acres? It's a sort of rather enormous number of acres. Yeah. It's a rather astonishing number of acres. So, sorry, I don't want to hold up the proceedings any further.
Thank you. That's what Councillor Sutcliffe is saying is definitely something for the future to be considered.
Yeah.
Thank you. Andy, just to finish, I notice your next meeting is not till January the 10th. In the meantime, could you perhaps pass on to Pat Hardcastle the decision we took tonight over our disappointment with the cancellation of
Yes, absolutely. Very pleased.
Town and Parishes planning forum. Thank you. It is now in the public domain. So. Thank you very much, everyone. If we could move on then to action reports. There's a number of items here. Buckinghamshire Local Plan. Town Clerk wrote about the BLP subgroup as minted. You're chasing response. Have you had that response yet?
I have nothing to update that isn't on here. Nothing's happened since the agenda.
Okay, so everything is at response weighted, which is unfortunately quite a lot of them, aren't there? The Fortune Road roundabout, Paragon Advertising reported it's not actionable.
No, I've had a good look at it. It's on the private fence. It's not obstructing the highway. I can't think of any reason we would have to remove it.
Okay. Do you feel there's a conflict there with the fact that we let the roundabout for advertising, because people are now referring to this as the Paragon roundabout?
What? It's not ideal, but ultimately after acting in the law, there are lots of roundabouts. Tesco's have signage up in theirs. There's now Pure Gym signage up on the Aldi one that they've been given permission by Aldi to do. It's a difficult situation. I can't think that we have a right to take it down, and it's not a offence.
Yeah, it was a rhetorical question. Care home access, you're still attempting to find the contact after update about the cycling and walking teams.
Yes, that was one that Warren was looking at, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay.
I tried to.
That was English.
I mean, if Warren was under the impression they had the cycling and walking team, it's reachable somehow. Trying how to find it.
Probably on the other way.
No.
Robin.
Yeah, the element on there to do with my good self, which is a cycle away and railway walk. I'm there will be discussions around that tomorrow. Unfortunately, I will be having to go to an extraordinary meeting of the Fire Authority exactly the same time, which is a immensely fun meeting, I'm sure it's going to be, judging by the agenda. So I might try to seek an update from them thereafter, because it's managed to get itself mixed in with the active travel plan. And I did question the cabinet member at council about it, in the sense that because it's got itself mixed up with the whole way they deliver the cycleway, and they do seem to be very keen to talk about the cycleway, even though there's areas that they haven't pursued. So I do think that that's something perhaps we need to have a discussion out of meeting, an agenda item at some point on how we actually pursue that. I don't really want to say what I think I know at this point, but I think it's something that we need to work carefully between ourselves, how we actually pursue that, because the section 106 clearly states once the final payments are in, the railway walk to be constructed. Now that's quite easy, and we were always told that we couldn't. One of the pushbacks was, well, once we get the new contract in, we'll be able to pursue these sort of projects. And we've had the new contract in for probably quite a few months now, and almost a year, and that didn't seem to have quickened it up any. So I think perhaps we do need to talk about how we pursue that, because we are in danger of it slipping off the radar, because the two things are separate. That is a section 106 agreement, which we were all party to seeing drafted. In fact, I asked for it to be put into the section 106 agreement with Catherine's help. So I am keen that it's delivered. So I think with permission of the chair and the clerk and Catherine, we need to talk about how we pursue that and bring that to the next meeting with a sort of proper formed way of action, both on planning terms and maybe on the environment committee terms, because if anything happens it thereafter, it will be there. But which order we do it, I think, will be guided thereafter. But I am concerned that it hasn't progressed, and we need to make a little bit more heat around it.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for that. Lisa, and then John.
Thank you. Because you've kind of started it already, I just wondered from Cllr if you had any thoughts since our last meeting. You know, what do you think about what Robin said, that it's being lumped into the whole travel thing?
I can't talk on behalf of Buckinghamshire Council, so I have to be somewhat guided by our member, who is a Buckinghamshire Council member on that. I do agree it might be worth an informal conversation in the first instance between us. It's dropped off our agenda a little bit. Maybe we'll have a chat about it and see what we bring to a future meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, the skate park upgrade is making rapid progress. I know the colouring has gone down a little bit more like a skate park than a kind of climbing frame for hamsters. I am concerned though that they're not going to replace the end shelter. I'm not entirely sure that it needed to be removed, given where the skate park is. I guess I would like to have seen, and I still want to see, a plan of what it's going to look like, and compare that to the plan of what it was like. You know, before and after plan, because as I say, I'm not persuaded that the end shelter needed to go, because I know that shelter, skeletal though it was very well used by lots of young people. And I think they're probably missing it already, but they're gonna miss it a lot longer if nothing replaces it. So I'm pursuing this. And if it's, I imagine it's gone to the great scrapyard in the sky now, the actual construction itself. But I think we ought to be trying to pursue this and maybe get the developer who's been putting this in to replace it with something else. Because if they remove it just for the heck of it, and it wasn't actually on the plan, I think we need to know. And if that's not the case, then I think we need to start thinking about whether we can get it into a section 106 agreement at some point to get a replacement in there. Something that would also, work for the youngsters who used to use it a lot.
Thank you. Lisa?
Thank you. Yeah, John makes a good point, and we did discuss the shelter, because I remember saying that it used to be the police's thought process of not to have sides to a shelter so that they didn't have to get out of a vehicle and check who was in there. But we categorically said that the shelter needs to stay. I remember it. And the fact that we still haven't seen plans, and we were meant to be, you know, kept in the loop on this, is quite astounding. So I wholeheartedly agree with what John said. You know, we weren't quiet about the fact that there needed to be a shelter there, because I remember the discussions.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that was a motion or a suggestion, then I'm happy to second that. So we do need to see plans and what they're going to do with the shelter.
Make a proposal, John.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of following up on the existing action, because it's not yet fully, but yes, let's make it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin.
Just on a bit of historicals around that, one of the shelters down there was actually paid for by Buckinghamshire Council. The second one was put in by the district council. We actually funded one of them shelters in the original case out of the youth budget, and we were requested to actually fund it, and we were requested by the district council and the police at the time to actually put a youth shelter down there. It will be around 205 or to around that period of time. And the second shelter came in, the one closer to the middle was the one, or the one at the end, whichever way around. I think it was the one in the middle that came later. The one at the far end was ours originally. Don't know if it got replaced, but I am supportive of that. But I would like to just inform you, I did write on the West End archaeology thing. I wrote to them again. It's on a cycle of emails. I wrote to them again. I try not to be too whatever, but I don't want my emails to become archaeology.
Yeah.
So I keep sending them. I have wrote to them again. So I hope by the time we meet again, I might have a response and an update on that, because we're not going to forget it. We're not, you know, but they are working. The other thing I noticed is we're waiting a response for you, Chairman, from the present Member of Parliament, and on the sewage hepatic outflows, and we haven't had a response from him. I presume that there's a timely fashion, but he's quite keen on sewage. So and his voting record suggests that he's quite keen on sewage. So perhaps he'll have a strong opinion around it. So perhaps we, if we haven't had a response from him around that, which we agree with a long time ago now, and we asked the town clerk to send the original letter again, not write another one. He may have missed it, because it's important that we get a buy-in, because this sewage overflow and into the waterfall is something that is.
Is this on the action list?
It is on the action list, Chairman.
Can you just point me to
852/221, which so I did, you know, I mean, we can't, we're halfway down, and and you know, we're going to be talking about these sort of things continuously. It'd be useful to know what response you got. I haven't seen the letter that went. Have you seen the letter that went, Chairman?
the letter to Anglia Water recapacity, copy to the PDC and to our own.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So,
I've written to them, I've not had a response.
well,
I can take
may I
this.
propose it an orderly fashion that we just send the original letter and I'll say you must have missed it.
Is that to everybody or just to?
No, just to the, there's only the right to the Anglia Water and to the MP. So in both.
Hold on, can I have a conversation with what happened there, if we wrote to Anglia Water?
And well, I put copies in. Got some. That's
It was
a,
copied.
normally do under the signature, so.
Can I double check on that and come back
Well,
to you?
you sent it.
I'm only reading what's in the action list. I didn't write the letter and I haven't seen it.
No,
So.
I know that, but can I double check, and if necessary, I will trace it with the appropriate people.
Yeah,
And it was
because
a long time ago, it's 22.
That's why I'm.
I think the fact that we haven't had any response from that sort of tardy, really, isn't it?
John?
It's unusual, I will say, for people not have responded to me, so I'm a little bit, I would like to double check before I.
Yeah.
I've got lots of responses waiting.
If I just before I go to John, just to remind you that RMP Greg Smith was very, very proactive and very quick over the May Morton Road 3
Yeah, but that's what
So I'm just saying he was very prompt, so
I'm asking about sewage.
thank you, John.
Just to comment on that, if it's been 60 in, he may not have complied.
I haven't seen the correspondence, I don't know.
Well, it's just been covered in, you
I don't
won't see respond.
Genuinely, I can't remember what I did, John, so I'd like to go
That's
check.
okay, that's all right. I want to go back to the skate park.
Yeah.
We kind of lost that.
Now, we have a proposal and a second.
Yeah, we didn't vote on it though.
We didn't know.
I was just going to ask Paul if she's more than happy with the.
If we didn't actually have a formal proposal, so John said that he has concerns they will not replace the end shelter, and I've changed it to propose that we ask to see a plan.
Yeah, before and after plan, to check whether.
Yeah.
Well, see whether it was on the actual work schedule that the thing was meant to be removed, because they just yanked it out straight off. And I've not double checked, because you can't look in it with its spent on. But I'm not entirely sure that it couldn't have been left.
Yeah.
So is everyone happy with
Part of the
the?
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favour?
Yeah.
That's unanimous, thank you. Except for the mayor, who's not here at the moment. Thank you very much for that, everybody. Right, planning applications. First one on the list tonight is 12 to 13 Market Hill. The construction of a new mansard roof to form 7 dwellings on top of the old Woolworths and Co buildings. Catherine prepared a very comprehensive report. Thank you for that, Catherine.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine.
What stands out is that the applicant has spent a lot of time discussing the conservation area on the portal, but there is no mention of the Buckingham Neighbourhood Plan or of our vision and design statement. Carolyn, I believe the Buckingham Society has a position on this.
I found it rather amazing, actually, that you two applications for multiple units in older buildings in Buckingham come in the same agenda, and both seem to me to present the same problems. Actually, both are very ambitious and not without merit. But in the Eminco's case, we would echo Catherine's comments on bin storage and recycling the rubbish, because the best way in the world, these apartments are very small, and storage there is none. So I don't know what poor residents are going to do about their rubbish, let alone their personal storage. Not clear about the access from the back. Not clear about the number of cycle units or cycle bays that are provided. I think those were the main points. The construction again could be extremely disruptive. There's no construction management plan. We now got the phrase that we need. Those are issues that have to be addressed. But in principle, it is another brownfield site. It is a more, we are not objecting totally to the proposal.
Thank you. Anthony.
I think also the Buckingham Society, when we had our meeting on Friday, we were quite exercised by the fact that there didn't seem to be an overabundance of fire exits, particularly from the mansard level. And as you get taller and taller up, we are very mindful of terrible incidents in the not that distant past, and wanting to make sure that people really do have decent escape capabilities. If we're down to one coming out in front of the building, that's inadequate. It needs a second one at least.
An external staircase.
Well, yes, I think so.
With doors at the moment, there's nothing really. There's one door shown, isn't there? But to nowhere.
Yeah. It's certainly not clear, Chairman.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You've all read Catherine's report anyway. There's quite a lot of things that are concerning. Karen, thank you very much for raising those.
Yeah.
Particularly access from the back. You know, Summerhouse Hill is where the delivery trucks always went in.
Yeah.
But M&Co and for worse prior to that, they go to the boots at the back, etc., etc., etc. So, is there any reason that waste and management can't use that as well? So, anyone else want to? Martin.
Yes, about the uplighters,
There's no need for light pollution in the middle of the town and around here.
Yeah.
That's completely superficial, so whatever happens, they'll have to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's no architectural merit in that.
No, absolutely not,
Yeah.
no. And I'm sorry if I've missed it in all the blurb, but how do you get to these? Is it just a staircase or is it a lift or?
No, there is a staircase. It's an original staircase that the Woolworths used to get to their upper stories. And it's just at the left-hand end of the front window. It's now been divided off as a separate staircase just for flats.
Oh, that's what, whatever it's called, Veletto.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted, that extra door for,
Yeah,
right?
so it's to separate the premises. But there was a staircase at the back. And the drawings are marked for the mansard roof are marked that this is to be blocked off. But if you're going to, I mean, if you've got rubbish in your flat and the bin store is in the car park at the back, you're going to take it downstairs, all the way around by the main road, all the way up Summers House Hill.
No.
Stuff, if there is no other way of doing it.
No way.
What people will just do, will just leave black bags on Market Hill on Tuesdays, which is not ideal on market day.
No, and I wouldn't like the main thoroughfare from those apartments to come out at the front area, because then that means the main way of getting in will be through the front, which means if they do have vehicles, they'll park them in those limited time slots that are available for, you know, all the other members of the public using.
You know, good point.
So I'd like to sort of force them round the back, really.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I'm going to make a proposal, having heard from the Buckingham Society and from other members that we have enough concerns about this development that at this stage we should oppose it on all the grounds mentioned, most particularly because of the lack of fire escapes. Robin has pointed out to me that Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes Fire Authority have their extraordinary.
I'm just giving you that, Chairman, so that the clerk can write down the address. If that's what you choose to do. So she's got the email.
We also have concerns, as you've heard, about waste disposal. We've heard that we consider the outlights to be totally unnecessary and on the front of no architectural merit. What is of architectural merit? I think probably most of it's real. There's the actual mansard look, which is a slightly Georgian look on top of the building, but the uplights will do nothing to show this. And so for the various reasons, and those that Catherine's also outlined, I propose that we oppose this application.
Yep.
We have a seconder, please, Anthony.
Somebody else.
All those in favour? That's the unanimous exception.
Just read it. If Clerk writes that, if she's kind enough to CC me into it, I can then follow it up and make sure that it does get a response.
I don't know if you see individual members into contact with them, give it a look ago.
Well, I'll see it when I get down there.
That's a bit.
Thank you. Right, the second application is number 22 Swithin Lane, which is on Rumbold Fields. We've seen this one before. Our older application for a single story rear extension. They did have a permission already for rooftop changes, which after we objected, we were not consulted on. But it has now come back slightly differently. It's a single story rear extension which fills in the L.
May I correct?
Yeah, could you please do that?
We did have the dormer window, we did propose it at the time,
Yeah.
because it was far too big. It was modified before approval,
Yeah,
but that was literally a very big, it was the full width of, and a huge box dormer.
yeah,
And even the planning officer thought down there thought that it was excessive. So it was made down to two gabled dormer windows, which is much more appropriate for the area. It's nothing to do with this downstairs.
Right,
Just put
okay.
the dining room in and to fill in the L shape in the single story.
yeah. But
We have no comment on that.
Anyone have any comments for me? In that case, I propose that we have no objection to this. Seconded by Anthony, all those in favour? Everyone except one, thank you. Home appliances we've already done, number 3. Number 4 is 120 Western Avenue. It's a householder application for proposed replacement garage, not signage. This is shown on their garage with associated internal and external works. That is quite straightforward. There's plenty of parking there. They just want to put windows and a side door into the garages. Anyone have any comments? No, in that case, I propose we have no objections. Seconded by Anthony, all those in favour? Thank you, everyone except Robin. Item 5 is number 13, Cllr report, which is on Page Hill. Householder application for a single storey front extension. A number of the properties up there have already had garages converted into rooms, some with, some without permission. In this case, it's 2 adjoining extended garages, stroke rooms, which the householder wants to fill the gap in to create a front porch.
No objection.
No objection from there. No comment, anyone? In that case, I propose we have no objection. All those seconded by Anthony. All those in favour? Again, everyone except Robin. Thank you. Number 6. Odd Fellows Hall. No, back again. This is an amended document. It's to do with waste and recycling collection, which on the face of it doesn't look like a very big deal, but there is a lot lurking just under the water. Checking on the BRBO websites today, all 9 of these apartments are still being offered as short-term holiday lets, holiday or not, with free parking, starting at either 95 or £100 a week. I checked availability on one of them today, and I can rent it till Christmas for £4,900.
Wow.
Just take, tick this box. So our main thrust against this, apart from all the design problems, has been that we believe that this is not C1 dwelling houses, it's C3. I got that the wrong way around. C3.
Yeah, C3 students apartment.
C3 students.
It's not student accommodation.
Yeah.
Definitely not if it's been advertised.
Quite clearly isn't. And
Yeah.
so what we're going to say is that we believe that waste management should have another look at this as a commercial enterprise, not as
Agreed.
not as dwellings.
Can't educate tenants if they're only there for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something we discussed during our briefing this afternoon. If someone comes in for a couple of nights, they're not going to empty their own waste bin in there and take it down to a waste collection place.
Yeah.
So, anyone got any comments on that? Or I then propose that we oppose this application on the grounds that we have evidence which Catherine is going to supply Buckinghamshire Planning, that this is being advertised as short-term lets, holiday lets, or otherwise, and therefore as a commercial enterprise, we're still seeking a change of use, and we still say that waste and recycling requirements should be considered to be commercial, not residential.
Definitely.
Seconded by Anthony. All those in favour? Everyone, Andy?
Looking at the plan.
Yeah, everyone except Robin. Thank you very much, everyone. And then number 7 is Bent Hill Farm, London Road. The description has been changed. Now, this is very simply an outline application for 2 houses on Bent Hill. It now involves them demolishing an agricultural building, and there's a slight change of the red line on the gardens in one of them, just to extend the garden. The reason being a newt assessment.
Oh, nice.
And the amendments also reflect compliance with waste and recycling. You may recall that we were concerned that waste lorries may not come all the way down the lane to these new houses. It's been agreed that the waste would not be economic for waste to come down there, so the residents will be asked to put their bin at the end of the lane. but still not on the public roads, still in the.
Just inside the gate.
Yeah.
There's a lane.
That's a concern we had, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they basically met our concerns.
Mm.
You
Karen,
might be able to guess what I'm going to say.
about the design.
I always get nervous when it says all matters reserved, save access, because that doesn't give you much leeway on the design. These are two houses facing the valley, the rural landscape, and their roof lines have no chimneys. I'm afraid I'm very hot on chimneys, particularly on boundary houses.
We will get the plans at the ADP stage.
I suppose so, but it rather, as I say,
I mean, that's why it is for detail.
It's rather badly worded. This is an outline application, but it mentions all reserved matters, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But no, we discussed this afternoon, we will get a chance, like I say, in the design. And we've been very keen about this because it's the entrance to the town.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's on the skyline. Does anyone else have any comments? So with that in mind, I propose we have no objection. Seconded by Anthony, all those in favour? That's everyone except Robin, thank you. Then our final plan in front of us, it's not in our parish, it's Mates Morton, Landolph, Walnut Drive. It's purely to do with 61 additional documents for highway improvements, construction access plans, which we've already seen.
Yes.
The remainder deal with matters internal to the site, such as house design, which it's not of our concern.
The parish council are responding, obviously, as you might reckon very firmly on all these matters, but the 61 documents are just a repeat with one or two very minor amendments to the layout plan, which actually mean absolutely nothing. There will be many objections. We're trying to organise a public meeting for the village and to report, trying to get the so-called consultants, David Wilson Homes, along. And talking to David Wilson Homes, I don't know if anyone saw an article in the Guardian, which was pointed out to me by Pat Howard about the quality of their work. I mean, it is rather shocking.
Do we actually doing all this?
We could simply make no comment.
Yeah. So I would propose in that case, because this part of it doesn't involve us, we have no comment to make. Anthony?
I have. Oh,
I propose that we make no.
oh, right, then I'll second it gladly.
All those in favour? Thank you. Robin, did you want to say something?
Yeah,
Hand up
I would say that really invite your new councillor to the meeting.
Our new council has already attended a meeting,
Good.
so she's up to speed, I think.
Thank you.
On what we're proposing.
And no doubt your new councillor will attend lots more meetings.
Thank you very much for that. That ends the planning applications tonight. Planning decisions, a couple of points here. The first one on your list, 1213 Market Hill lounges, which is now Bedecco, of course. Front fascia board are still internally lit, which is against conservation area. And Catherine and I, when we leave this meeting tonight, we'll go and check if they get ended off. Apparently that they enforcement, or not so much enforcement, but planning have told us that they've been warned they've got to.
Planning have said that they are not allowed internally lit, and that's it, that's the decision. So allowed letters, but not the lights. So I went back and I said, how long have they got to comply? And the answer came back immediately. And it wasn't immediately when I was in town one night last week. So
We will check
the only lit item is allowed to be the menu board, and that is actually inside the front windows.
Right, okay, good,
So that's just to note that.
excellent,
And then if it is lit, then a photograph will be with
Yeah.
way to Aylesbury in the morning.
yeah, thanks for that,
Like
Catherine,
carrier pigeon.
and thanks, Mark, as well.
Then the other one is 36 Chandlers Road. This is the high mow. We're converting a 4-bedroom house into 7 units. That, despite our position, it's been approved. Planning at Aylesbury have said that 3.5 parking spaces for 7 bedrooms is sufficient and meets policies. and that 8 bins, which would be put out on the street each week, are outside the planning remit, which is a very strange way of putting it. So why do they involve waste management in their responses if it's outside the planning remit?
Yeah.
Members might want to question it. Robin.
I can't comment on the application, but they're quite interested to get a response to that question, because it's a nonsensical statement and it should be clarified. You know, they are the planning authority, and many planning applications that in any place we determine have that factor in them, so it's a nonsensical answer. So I think the chairman's spot on. I mean, I think it's a good idea if we write to them and ask some clarity.
Martin.
Yeah, we ought to do all of that, but I would imagine it's the act of putting them out on the street, which is not a planning consideration.
It's worth asking the question.
The storage of them within their property is a planning application, and how waste management will pick it up is required to be known.
Yeah.
But the act of.
So our members agree that Catherine just write and ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All information gratefully received.
The other one, you'll note that the Chandos Road, the micro energy storage facility, we had no objections to, but it could be painted a different colour to blend in with the surrounding trees, and they've agreed it'll be a natural wood finish. And there are also 6 conditions protecting the trees from damage. So that's the win there.
Yeah.
We're going to paint the trees the same colour as the.
You just
Item 10, Buckinghamshire Council Matters. Receive news of Buckinghamshire Council, new documents and other information from Buckinghamshire Council Matters. Now start off by congratulating the mayor in your election to Buckinghamshire Council. And Anya, if we could open the floor to you.
Okay, right. It's not like I have much to say yet, so maybe I'll defer this to a future meeting.
I might point out that the Honourable Councillor Stutchby today pointed out you have the best attendance record of any councillor.
Well, yeah, so far it's 0. I think they choose to show this as 0% rather than 100%, but I think in either case it's meaningless, isn't it?
But thank you, Anya, and I know you'll be doing all you're doing for the town.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Robin.
Yeah, several things to say. We've had a election, I don't know how that came about. One thing I'd like to inform you about, those of us who have been on the journey with the planning clerk on the Lace Hill journey of getting the road adopted, and they are finally adopted, which means the highways at Lace Hill are now adopted. Nice. Catherine, in her absolute diligence, picked up the Cotton End steps, which was another matter that we all brought together to historically to actually get visibility slope in there. In return of post or return of email, that will be included in the adoption.
Excellent.
So I have notified the Residents Association, but I would like to ask the paperwork's there, and at some point, I think the many hours that Catherine and I have put into it, and other members of this committee over the period of time, trying to get that state to a situation that it could be adopted. It's been no easy task, and of course we are nothing but at the beginning on the Tinswick Road. So those who are fortunate enough to be here in 10 years' time, the Tinswick Road may be adopted by then, but I hope it'll be better. Seriously,
thanks to Robin and to Catherine for their diligence. Please.
It's been a hard old road.
Thank you.
But
I couldn't believe it when they had the bits that they were adopted are coloured. Rockwork and time.
No, on other matters, which I think you will know, I've been chasing up the situation around 2 development. I haven't had a response back over the Ozy Way issue, which you discussed previously at your meeting to do with the concerns around the fact that they haven't got a drainage and sewage thing in the detailed plan. I haven't received a response yet, so I wrote after the meeting, and I've wrote again before this meeting because I'm not satisfied with what the detailed plan, because they have not given us a drainage plan, so we don't know where the sewage is going to go at all. And Catherine will probably point out to you, those of us who were unfortunate enough to witness it when Lace Hill was constructed. They got halfway through the estate before they actually built the sewer, and so that's something else. I've also written to seek some more clarity around the ambitions of the council around the development of wise tax. I mean, I am 100% sure that the new elected member will probably wish to add a name to a calling around that matter. I don't think I even need to ask her. I'm sure she'll automatically do it. That at least give us 2 members in Buckingham who are wanting the residents to actually have that application determined at committee. On the elements, you will be aware that the drainage issues and flooding issues continue in 3 areas of town in respect to children walking school routes, one being the London Road, one being Gorgat Road, which Mark said to me about this morning, which I'd already actioned, and one being the Bolton Road and one being the London Road. All 3 of those areas are main walking school routes. And
Could I pass that round to members?
Yeah,
that was on Buckingham Facebook.
I have tried to, and I am in contact with the right person over raising a job. But just for your information, it's just been published while I'm sat here. I'm going to Cabinet to ask the question whether they've got enough resources to actually fund this work, because we have all been witness to this flooding some months now, and we're at the start of the winter. So I want to find out some clarity what resources they've got in it. On a different tact for members' information, I am in contact now with the management of the post office, and through my polite conversation, actually, it's no point starting being rude, they've assured me that they're going to be taking on more staff, temporary staff within the post office, and they're going to address the issues of the vehicles through management contract agreements, in the sense that that wasn't being addressed. And they're also going to do some changes within the area that they represent, being make it a smaller area which is managed than the big area which is managed, to try and address the backlog of posts, which everyone's been putting in. So the lady said that I can come back to her at any point on this. She doesn't want me to share her contact details, which is quite understandable. But I have followed it up because it was quite an issue. I've said earlier on about chasing up the archaeological stuff, and I think stuff related to planning. That is about where we are with the planning issues. There are other things doing, just to say that those other things can wait for full council, in the sense that they're more the full council issue than a planning issue. But all these matters, I do believe, have been discussed in this committee. But I do think it's positive when we all achieve something together, which is to finally get something adopted after 10 years, isn't it? I thought how marvellous that is, and I thought, well, how disappointing it is that it's taken us 10 years to actually get to that. But if I can get all those email times and correspondence and meetings back, I should be able to knock at least a year off my life. I'm younger.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Anya. Line 2 is to receive a decision on the consultation on new disabled parking bays, Grenville Road and Whitehead Way. You remember particularly the Whitehead Way one we objected to because it was opposite a road junction, plus going to be the entry and exit for construction traffic if and when Morton Road phase 3 goes ahead. Grenville Road on this. What is that? If you didn't say just
what?
whether it was the applications are withdrawn rather than refused.
Right.
Thank you. 11 updates from representatives on outside bodies. Anyone, anything to say? We've heard from Anthony tonight. Karen.
I don't know if this is really relevant bit in the agenda, but as it's a planning matter, the new levelling up bill, as I understand it, has abandoned the need for a local council to have a 5-year supply if there is a local plan in place, which of course Vale is, and also has withdrawn the need for duty to cooperate, as I understand it. And I think those are two very relevant points for our county in particular.
Yeah, we're well aware of this on the neighbourhood plan working group,
Right.
and we're being advised by our consultants on this, about
Okay.
levelling up, tilting everything.
Tilting, yeah.
But no, thank you for drawing attention to that. John?
It's a bit left field, this one, just thinking about it in the context of planning. As some of you know, I'm a trustee for the Hospital League of Friends. And one of the things we've taken in the past is to create what we're calling an orchard of appreciation on the field at the back of the hotel, which would involve 3 park benches with plinths big enough to accommodate people in wheelchairs as well, surrounded by pear and apple trees. And Carolyn has been doing the plans for that. And we're obviously liaising with the trust. The question I've got is, they're going to be on concrete plinths, obviously. Does that require plan?
Some bigger concrete benches, but it's probably not the time to have a conversation.
Plus a bit bigger to
No,
allow for wheelchair.
I mean, it's gardening essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a concrete bench specific for the training issues, but if it's just to put a wheelchair on, I wouldn't. We could probably talk about this outside the meeting.
Yeah, no, I just,
I know.
it's an outside body, I thought I'd mention it.
No, thank you for that. Robin?
No,
Outside body?
I'm outside.
Okay. That's what we're on. Right. Okay, so let's move on to 12, the Buckinghamshire committee meeting, council committee meetings. 4 of the 5 cancelled. Sorry, I do apologize, 3 of the 5 cancelled. The Environment and Climate Change Select Committee is actually this week. The Growth, Infrastructure and Housing Select Committee at the end of November. We have had a look at any questions you'd like to ask. Robin, I don't know if you're involved in any of those.
Yeah, I am sort of. Just for information, the growth, according to my correspondence today, the Growth and Infrastructure Committee and the HAS, which I am involved in the Growth and Infrastructure Committee in the sense that there'll be a report going to committee which I think you'll want to read. You will recall that I've been questioning, and the council has been questioning, town council, and I've been taking questions to council for a number of months, probably almost a year, about why we don't get any contributions to doctor's surgery and whatever. Now, I've been party to a report which we're still discussing the detail of with a colleague at the moment, to stiffen it up a bit. That report will go to the Growth and Infrastructure Committee, and the HAS, because it was a joint working group between the two. And if those recommendations are agreed by both committees, then they will go to a future cabinet meeting. Probably looking at the work programme of the cabinet, it'll probably be within the new year, in the January cabinet meeting. So then I would suggest that how we look at that report, because it might be something you want to pick your bones over. I don't want to talk about the report now, the report was published, but it was 4 days of questioning everybody involved in the vision, both on health and whatever, so it was quite a long affair.
That's county-wide, not just Buckingham.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it's a county-wide report. We're not doing one for Buckingham, but they never allow us to do one for Buckingham. But it is a county-wide report because of the issues that we recognised in Buckingham about the lack of provision, the questions we've asked. Through pressure and whatever, we've managed to get this done. So, of course, you can't make anything without doing something. So even if this report is agreed, the reality is it will make recommendations for future things. It won't affect us immediately. My only hope and prayer is that it may have a positive outcome on the Buckingham development plan, which will be after this. So that may be something that happens if Cabinet agrees it. So, as I say, it was quite a headache, to say the least. And I have to compliment all the people I worked with on it. They were all focused on the issue, not the politics around the issue, which was impressive. So, you know, wait till the first agenda comes out. It may hopefully be in the Growth and Infrastructure Committee if it comes prior to the HASC. So I might end up at both meetings actually, but that'll be there, and I'm quite sure once it comes out. I just asked if you bring it here to look at, and if and tip the bones out of it, because if there's anything we've missed, which is obvious, it should be discussed.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Catherine. You've noted that. If you can move on then to item 13, enforcement report on the new breaches. Just to say about current breaches, alleged breaches, Old Town Hall is still running, Afro Combo, which is where the funeral services used to be. They've got internally lit front fascia and bit after you've heard about as well. Has anyone else got any new breaches? John?
Just checking, are shops allowed to have a lit sign on the inside facing out? They are.
Yeah,
Yes,
as you heard with Vedetto, they're allowed to have their menu inside the window.
Yeah.
but yes, what those little neon signs that say open or key cutters.
Yeah,
things.
they're all okay. Fine.
Thank you. None. Okay. The rolling list of updates, pre-funding applications, land grant reports, calling requests, 8 high mode licenses. Robin.
Couldn't discuss that when you were discussing your application, but I do think that you need to do some press release around this issue of the HMO stroke, whatever you were discussing the application earlier down White Street. One of the things which is stuck out to my mind, having not had an opportunity to comment on that anywhere on that application, is the fact that it's got some of the nicest stained glass windows in Buckingham. And if I was going to, the fact that it was first mentioned as an HMO and whatever, it's a slight way of getting around it. I'd like to think that you'd do a press release about the loss of stained glass windows, because we haven't got many stained glass windows in Buckingham. And I happened to stand there looking at them for some time and thought if they were only clean, they'd be more beautiful. And they are stained glass windows of a particular period in time. And we lose those sort of things.
Yeah.
That's part of the character of our town. It's being taken away from us. And as it's on HMO licensing, it's the only time I could think to mention it. And I was scratching my head as I went through. I'd like to propose that the chairman there's a press release around that, the loss of stained glass windows in this.
I think that would need to be on an agenda to do that, Robin. Town clerk's not holding agreement. So if you wish to raise that, well, the next meeting.
Well, it's HMO licensing on the agenda, Chair.
Yeah, but we're not.
But there is absolute, sorry to interrupt, I can back you up though. There is nothing.
I'll do my own press release.
Any motion that would be relevant.
Well, it is an HMO. It was put in as an HMO. It was then changed and discussed, and we're talking about HMOs, and it says HMOs on the agenda.
No, it's the rolling list of HMO licenses. Yeah. No change.
But it is on the agenda, it's set that was one of them originally.
We'll concede that the three letters are on the agenda, councillor, but really, this is a rolling update on HMO licences.
We'll have it on their agenda.
The motion, we'll put it on the agenda.
So we can have our way.
Yeah.
No, anyone against doing that?
Not sure. Talk about next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
So please raise that at the next meeting, councillor. Thank you.
Right, go on your agenda.
Andy?
No, it's okay.
Okay, anything else on those? Thank you very much, Catherine, for doing those rolling lists.
Yeah,
Matters to report, members report any damage to purpose redundant signage in the town. Robin's already mentioned the Gorkut road footpath, you've all seen the photographs of it, and the other one, we've had a blitz on Page Hill on the footpaths, a lot of them are breaking up. One large pothole, 5 of them were reported on Fix My Streets, and to their credit, within 2 or 3 days, they all had white lines and markings. So hopefully sometime in the future.
They might be done.
There's an election in 2025, so they should be done.
Just to say that I'm going a regular walk now with my grandson and pushchair.
Really?
Seeing lots of places where there aren't drop curbs. There ought to be drop curbs, and particularly on my regular walk down to the Cafe. The parkway from the bypass down to that road is really, really bad. And I haven't reported it, but I don't know where it's doing everything. But access wise is important. People on wheels need to go in the road, and it's not a very busy road, obviously, but it's still dangerous.
Thank you. Caroline?
Yes, there's a tree that's been broken on the Gorkut roundabout on the bypass, on the bypass road. And I just wondered if that was on Lee's agenda or someone's agenda to remove
Yeah,
With
or replace
obsolete.
even.
yeah, I know the tree, yeah.
It's an obsolescent tree now, isn't it?
Catherine will raise that. Do you know which it is, Catherine, or can you get more? You can perhaps have a word with Catherine about exactly where. Thank you.
thanks. I can't remember when it was, but I actually took a load of photographs about the drop curbs going from the allotments back to Linden Village, like through the park. Because I had to cross over onto the fire station road and then had to go up part way up to through Badgers, and it was a nightmare. So I'll dig those out because I took a lot of photos of where drop curbs were, where they aren't, and it's.
I've already reported that piece.
Okay.
Section Board Road Badgers, where it's going mad.
Okay, fair enough then.
There's good bits that just don't make sense.
Anthony?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. We've mentioned it before, I've mentioned it before, but the road signs pointing out the cemetery, the new cemetery, remain unobscured for another month. I guess if we nag long enough, they'll get fed up and do something about it.
I think the one about it takes long enough, we'll not cemetery society.
And then they'll probably obscure it.
I mean, having watched Blackadder the other day and the Go Forth, I was watching that again the other day. Should we try a cunning plan? That we just go up there and cover it up for now, see if they then bring an important issue to us for covering them up. Because they are distracting people, and it would be a kindness to them to do something to help them. It wouldn't take much to put a bit of tape and stuff around it just to cover it up. We've asked plenty of times, haven't we? And no action. And if they say, well, you shouldn't have covered the sign up, we say, well, you should have done it. Because it wouldn't take much to do. Just a bin bag really and a bit of tape. Wouldn't be a huge bit of expense, and then we can make sure that we take the bin bag back and recycle.
Bless you.
I'm going to defer to the town clerk on this.
I don't feel that would be appropriate, yeah.
Comes under criminal damage.
I don't think a bin bag is a.
Well, I was just trying to say something which we could recycle. I think we could have it back and put rubbish in it and then recycle it.
Thank you, Robin.
But it just
Point is taken, and we will chase that up again.
Yeah.
Been going on long enough. Anyone else, anything under matters report? No, in that case, I'll move on to chair's items for information. I just have one. Members will be aware that last month Buckingham Town Council was represented at the 6-day appeal inquiry into the Morton Road Phase 3 planning application, which was called in by the Secretary of State after Buckinghamshire Council approved the development of 130 houses. It concluded with a site visit by the inspector, at which we were also represented. My thanks to Anthony, Catherine, Louise for their assistance and the attendance. The Secretary of State is scheduled to receive the inspector's conclusion on or before 13th of December.
Can I just ask if we, do it in the chairman's items, we might have to wait till the next meeting to do it, but I'm joking. That we record our thanks to the staff, because quite frankly, it's been Anthony, because it was quite a commitment of hours and time, and also Catherine needs your sympathy because she had to travel in the car with me to Aylesbury and back. So I mean, she needs your complete sympathy and understanding, because that must have been quite awful for her. And to be
Is that a good working environment? Would you cross it under that?
I don't think the town did a risk assessment on that. You know, but she assumed she's quite risk averse, but she didn't do a risk assessment on Catherine being in the car. I think that was most miss of you.
I'm sure everyone agrees that.
Yeah, I think we should thank
thanks
them.
to the staff.
Yeah.
I realised how long it was.
Just on that point, and I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm going to take a moment to do it anyway. Can I say that Catherine's work on that was absolutely outstanding, how much time and energy went into that and the commitment to represent. And I'd also say a little note for Louise, who I had a conversation with Bucks Parishes the following day when Catherine introduced me. And Catherine said something along the lines of, "Oh, so I didn't introduce you to Louise yesterday, I didn't think she was going to speak." And Bucks Parishes said, "That was all ad hoc, that was all ad lib, was it, and not prepared?" Because if it was, that is really quite impressive. And that was their Parishes wording on how I started this. So I just want to big my team up a little bit.
Yeah.
Did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Well, thank you as well.
Yeah.
We're not big on thanking people, and we should do it more often, you know.
I think
Thank you,
I'm
Robin.
thanking
Right.
people for your right.
On that high note,
Staff.
date of the next meeting will be Monday, 27th November, following an interim meeting of the full council. With that, thank you.